Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Brad. If you've been following my journey on Facebook, I'm the guy that's been posting all this stuff, and I hope you've found those posts enjoyable and hopefully gotten something out of them. That's the whole reason for me posting them. If you're here watching this today, you probably saw the free offer that I'm giving for this training, or maybe you came across this another way, perhaps. But either way, thank you so much for being here, and it's my pleasure and my honor to be able to bring this training to you today. To give you a little bit of a background, this training today is going to be about a topic that I've worked a lot on myself. It's this idea of fear, overcoming fear, breaking through fear, and what I like to say, going from fear to fearless, or choosing faith over fear, or choosing love over fear. And it's all a journey. And what we're going to get into today is how we can move past fear into choosing love in our life, choosing faith and becoming fearless. With that in mind, let's just dive right into this training. And I should say, if you ever have any questions, you're always welcome to reach out to me on Facebook or whatever works best for you. But let's go ahead and just dive right into this training. So I'm going to share my screen here and pull up a PowerPoint here. Give me just a moment. Okay, there you see it. So this is actually lesson 11. So I have a curriculum. It's called Rediscover You, all about rediscovering your authentic self and how to live that healthy and inspired life. This is one of the lessons from that curriculum. Later on, I'll kind of go in more detail how you can get the full curriculum if that's something that you desire. But what we want to talk about today is this idea, yeah, from fear to fearless, learning to choose love over fear. Fear is probably the number one factor that holds any of us back from what I like to call reaching our true potential or reaching our full potential. And if we're going to get anywhere in our lives, then we've got to be able to break through that fear. We've got to be able to move through it. We've got to be able to step out of that. Some people will say it's stepping out of your comfort zone. And I think there is a little bit to that, but I think it's more than that. And I want to get into that today with this training. And with that in mind, yeah, this training is going to be all about from fear to fearless, learning to choose love over fear. Here we go. And by the way, I would also recommend you have the link to this training now. Go back and watch this training as many times because, as you'll see at the end of this training, what I say is that some of what I'm presenting today took me upwards of a year, 2, even 3 years to understand and comprehend some of this, what I'm going to be talking about and teaching on this training. So save this training, save this link, go back and watch it multiple times. Again, ask questions of me, reach out to me in the Facebook, Messenger, whatever works best for you. My email is very simple too, bradwcarlson@yahoo.com. But anyway, let's get into this. So when we do anything in our life, and I'll go ahead and you can read the slide on your own. I'm not going to read that for you. But when we do anything in our life, the action that we are taking in our life, there's one of two things that are motivating us behind the scenes. And what I mean behind the scenes, subconsciously, there's only one of two factors that are motivating us to do that thing that we're doing. It's either fear or love. And oftentimes in our life, we are actually guided by fear to do the thing that we are doing. And what we want to do is switch that so that whatever action that we are taking is that we are guided by love in doing that action, that we are taking that action from a place of love. And this is an important detail because a lot of people will think that we need to change up what we are doing. And that's actually not true. You don't need to change anything that you are doing. You can do the exact same thing. All I'm saying is that instead of doing it from a place of fear, being motivated by fear, that we want you to be motivated by love and passion. And that's what this lesson is all about. And I'll give you a perfect example from my life, just to show you how I took a lot of action in my life, but it was all motivated by fear until I understood what I'm going to talk about here today, that I was able to switch and be motivated by love and passion. So I became, well, I won't go into my whole story, but I was your lethargic, unhealthy, overweight couch potato. And I went through a transformation and I lost the weight and I became healthy and I became very fit and I became a triathlete, a short sprint distance triathlete. obstacle course runner, marathon runner. I can't even tell you how many 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons. I think in total, over the course of 5 years, I did about, and I don't even remember now, 40, 50 races. I think about, yeah, somewhere, maybe even, I don't know, 30 to 50 races, somewhere in that area. I don't remember the exact number, but in 5 different states: California, Washington, Oregon, Arizona, Nevada, all when I was living on the West Coast. And I got through all 5 years, and I got all kinds of medals, and I got some tattoos celebrating my races, all kinds of great posts on Facebook. But when I started to understand this idea that we are motivated by either fear or motivated by love, I realized that all those races I was doing for the wrong reason. I was motivated by fear. And the fear that was holding me back was a thought that I was having that I wasn't good enough. And I thought that if I did these races, that I would gain some recognition, some notoriety, which was true. That did happen, and that fed my ego, which made me want to do more. But it led to a very hard life. I was definitely fit, but as I say, I was not healthy at all. I was not spiritually healthy. I was not mentally healthy. In fact, I was breaking down even more and more because the training became harder and harder as I was forcing myself to train. Training from a place of fear is very different from a training from a place of love. And hence I was motivated by fear to do all of this. And then through my journey, post my recreational racing career, I learned to go within, and that's what I want you to do, to learn to go within, to come from this place, what I'll call your heart center mind, this place of love. Now I do the same thing. I don't do races anymore, but I still train and trail run and all of that. But now I do it from a place of love because I know that even if I don't do that stuff, I'm still good enough. I'm still worthy. I don't need all this racing and everything to validate who I am, whereas before I did. And that's what I want to have go on in your life, is to motivate you and to be motivated from a place of love as opposed to a place of fear. And that's something that we need to recognize. And so that's kind of what this slide is hinting at. But I'm gonna go through this here. I share this story again. I will let you read this story about grandfather Cherokee and the grandson. This is one I've told many times. If you want to go ahead right now, pause the video, just take a moment. You can read this on your own. Again, I don't need to read it for you. But again, grandfather Cherokee in the story is talking about this idea of how we are leading our life. What is guiding us in our life? Is it the voice of fear that he talks about, or the wolf of fear, as he mentions in the story, or is it the wolf of love? Which one of these factors is leading us in our life? And that's what it really boils down to. And as you'll see in the story, the one that is leading us in our life, the wolf of fear, or as I'll say here in a minute, the voice of fear, or the voice of love, the wolf of love, the one that is guiding us in our life depends on 2 factors. And so I'm going to get into that now. So again, pause this as long as you need to read that story, take it in, absorb it. Okay, 2 wolves, I call them 2 voices. I'm going to skip through this part real quick because the one that guides our life, okay, again, the wolf of fear, or the voice of fear, the wolf of love, or the voice of love, the one that is guiding our life, okay, this is really important here. The one that is guiding our life, okay, is the one that you choose. It's the one that you choose to listen to, and it's the one that you choose to feed, as grandfather Cherokee says. When we are going forth in our life and we are about to make a decision, is that decision coming from a place of love? And you will know when it's coming from a place of love when you feel joy, when you feel passion, when you feel that excitement. Or is that decision you're about to make in your life coming from a place of fear? Are you motivated by fear? If that's the case, you're going to feel anxiety, you're going to feel apprehension, you're going to feel nervousness, you're even going to feel just, I don't know how to describe it other than a very low energy vibe. And so as you go about doing the things that you are doing in your life, pay attention to how you are feeling on the inside. Do you feel joy? Do you feel passion? Do you feel love? Do you feel excitement, enthusiasm, kind of like I do here bringing this training to you? then chances are you're being motivated by love and you're doing this from a place of love. But if we feel some of those low energy vibrations, the nervousness, the anxiety, chances are we're motivated by fear. There's an underlying belief, a subconscious belief. Now, in this training, I talk about referring back to lesson 6 in this curriculum about how you can deal with those subconscious beliefs, about how you can bring those subconscious beliefs forward and root them out in order that you can overcome those limiting beliefs so that you can be motivated by love. That's what I had to do. I had to root out my subconscious belief when I was doing all these races and all this training that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. That was the subconscious belief that was motivating me to do all these races. It was rooted in fear. I had to go through in lesson 6 everything that I talk about there about identifying that story, that limiting the belief, bringing it to the surface, and then changing it, writing a new story, writing a new belief. And that new belief became, I am good enough, I am worthy, no matter what happens in my life, even if I don't do those races. And then I could continue to do the same thing, the races and the training and all that, only this time coming from a place of love. And that's very important in your life. Where are you coming from on the inside? What are you feeling? Okay. Your life is being led, being guided by one of two factors. This is just how life works, by fear or by love. And I'm saying, let's get away from the fear and get into the love. And the way we do that is, which wolf are we feeding? Which wolf are we listening to? Are we listening to the wolf of fear, which is up here, our ego in our mind, or are we listening to the wolf of love, which is right here? And I'm going to do a quick pause, real quick. Hold on. Let me see something here. I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay. I just want to make sure that I was indeed recording this. So we are recording this. Okay. A little bit of a quick scare there. Okay. Apologize for that. The voice that you choose is the voice that wins, and the voice that you listen to is the voice that you win. We've got to realize that we have these two voices that are fighting for control of our soul, fighting for control of our spirit. To put them in the layman's term, one, the voice of fear, the wolf of fear, is our ego. The other, the voice of love, the wolf of love, that is our heart-centered mind, that is our intuition. I'm just going to say it. Some say it's God, source, spirit. I don't care what term you use, but that's what comes from here. Now, ideally, what we have to do is start listening to what's in here and ignoring what's up here. Okay. And now, when we really get into the magic, this is how the flow of life works. This is amazing. Okay. I'm going to go ahead here. Yes, choose wisely which voice you listen to. Always listen to the voice of your heart. What is in your heart? What are you feeling in your heart? And then use your thinking mind to reinforce what you are feeling. So, for example, if your heart is telling you to just quit that job, but your voice up here saying, no, no, don't do it. I'm afraid, I'm afraid. If you want to live that healthy life, that balanced life, that inspired life, there's no other way but to listen to what's in your heart. And then your head has to say, I need to quit that job. You don't have to know what's next. Okay, that's choosing to be motivated by fear if you stay in that job, which you can do that if that's working for you. But my guess is that most likely staying in that job when your heart is telling you to move on is not working for you. Now, if your heart says it's time to quit, it's time to leave, and your head goes, no, 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 you can't do it, I'm afraid, that's where the great conflict comes in. The way to get that is to ignore what your mind is saying, listen to your heart, and then get your mind to say, you know what, Brad, or whatever the name might be, it's time to quit this job. Now, you may not know what is next in your life. That's where faith and trust are coming into play. You know, there's this great power out there, if you will, that is always working in our favor. I just read, from the Bible, I think it was Matthew chapter 19, verse 26, something like that. With God, all things are possible. But we know if we listen to that voice in our heart, there's going to be something. We might not know what that next step is on the staircase, but we know it's there. If you line up for me, like at a 5K race, I can't see the finish line, but I know it's there. I just know it's there. It's 3.2 miles away. You may not know what the next step is after you listen to your heart and quit that job, but you know there's a next step there. And I can guarantee that next step is going to be awesome. A new job, a new opportunity, a new something somewhere. When one door closes, another door always opens. There's never been a situation in any case anywhere throughout history where another door for that person did not open. Now, the type of that door, again, it goes back to what voice are you choosing and what is motivating? What's your motivating factor? Hence, when we're learning to become fearless, we want to move away from what's going on in our head and drop down to what's in our heart. And then we want to use what's in our head to support what is going on in our heart. And that's why it's really important to understand which voice you are choosing, which voice you are listening to. And that's why I wrote this line. A famous line from a movie once said, "Choose and choose wisely." If you don't remember, that's from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade when he's holding something and he's about to step off into something and the step appears. I think it's Indiana Jones. Maybe it's the second one. Or it's Indiana Jones. I think it's the Temple of Doom. Maybe it's the second movie. But now let's get into this. It's not just a matter of choosing which voice you're going to listen to, and it's not just a matter of choosing which voice you're going to feed. It's a matter of consistently doing that. When I'm choosing to, as in my example, when I chose, without even knowing it really, to listen to the voice of fear and to feed the voice of fear, the way I was feeding the voice of fear was the thought I was having, which was this thought I kept repeating, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Now, those were deep subconscious beliefs, and I had to go over what I teach in lesson 6 of this curriculum to be able to draw that forth. But when we are feeding the voice of fear, we say things like, I'm too old, I'm too short, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm not enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not deserving enough. I can't afford it. That's a common one. These are common. This is common food that we feed our mind with that leads us to be motivated by fear, that leads us to come from that place of fear, and we're choosing fear. And we want to back up, and we have to do the work. Again, in lesson 6, it says, I am good enough, I am smart enough, I am old enough, age doesn't matter, age is just a number. My past does not equal my future. And when we start to understand all of this, then we begin to switch from fear to love. And that's why it's really important to not just once in a while, but to consistently choose that voice of love, consistently, day in and day out. It's a work. Any coach will tell you this. When you go to a gym, day in and day out, what happens? You can't help but get stronger arm muscles, stronger shoulder muscles. When you go to the gym and you can only do one push-up after a month, probably you can do 2. Maybe it'll take you a month to get to 2, but that's still 2 is better than 1. That's twice as many as before. And then another month you can do 4. You've just doubled it because you're consistently showing up. You've got to consistently be aware, be paying attention to what voice you are listening to and what voice you are feeding. And what I'm saying is listen to what's in your heart. Feed that voice that's in your heart with nourishing, healthy food in the form of thoughts. I am worthy. I am good enough. I am loved. I am capable of doing this. I am a success in anything I'm doing. I am thriving in anything I'm doing. These are some that you can see I get excited that I've been working on. Use lesson 6 to help yourself when you're feeding the voice of love with those types, with that food, those types of thoughts. If you're not feeling it, if you're not believing it, if you feel stuck, you're going to feel this. Go back again. I'll talk about how you can get access to lesson 6 here shortly, but you'll need to do what I talk about in lesson 6. Key point here, I'm going to read this. The voice that you consistently listen to and feed will be the winner. This is the voice that you are choosing. So how you are showing up, if you're consistently showing up with fear and anticipation or anxiety or apprehension, things of those nature, you're probably not even aware, but that's the voice that you are choosing because that's the voice you're listening to and that's the voice you're feeding. And so we need to hit the brakes, stop, Get out of our head, literally get out of our mind. A lot of the great spiritual leaders have said that. Get out of your mind. You want to be out of your mind and into your heart. And again, if any of this is not making sense, feel free to reach out to me. I'll talk a little bit more how you can do that later. So this is kind of what I just talked about a little bit. Yeah, when you're feeding the voice of fear, it says, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm ugly, blah, 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 things like that. Where does this voice live? I've talked about that a little bit already. So again, I'm going through this kind of fast. You can always pause the video. The voice of fear, yeah, that is the voice, that thinking mind, that is your ego. It can be hidden deep within your subconscious mind. That's why some leaders, some spiritual leaders, some gurus and all that, they say, get out of your mind. In Japanese, in the martial arts, we say zanshin, no mind. Okay, it is no mind. It is purely heart. Okay. Again, the voice of love, our authentic voice. Here's another difference too. The voice of fear, this is really important to understand. The voice of fear is who we are not. That's the what we don't want happening in our life. The voice of love is our true voice, our authentic voice. That is the voice of who we really are. Who we really are. I said it right here. Love, beautiful. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? I don't care what you look like, makeup, no makeup, size, small, short, thin or not thin, any of that. There is somebody somewhere that loves you, beautifies you for just exactly what you are, what you look like. The most important person that needs to love you for who you are and see yourself as beautiful, no matter what you look like, is yourself. Okay, the voice of love says, I am enough. I am going to read this. I am brave. I am worthy. I am deserving. I am smart. I am bold. I am alert. I am alive. I am awake and I feel great. This is the voice that we want to feed. This is the voice that we want to nourish. This voice is found here. This is how we go from fear to fearless. And it's focused effort and resilience about listening and feeding what's going on in here. This is how we choose love over fear. This is how we choose faith over fear. This is exactly how we go from fear to fearless when we move away from our head, our ego, our thinking mind into our heart. The heart says, move to a new state. And my brain went, yes, let's do that. So I quit my job. I quit a full-time government job, permanent job, making a very nice salary because I listened to my heart. My heart was saying it's time for a change. I could not ignore that anymore. I didn't know what was next. I moved to Arizona and everything worked out fine, even though I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. My heart said move to Arizona. My head said, okay, you got to do this, Brad. I can no longer stay here in Oregon. I can no longer stay in my current government position with public health. It just wasn't working out for me. I needed a change. That's when life takes off. Life will take off for you when you listen to what's in your heart and you support it with your mind. When your heart says it's time for me to move and your mind says, okay, let's move, they're in harmony with each other. When your heart says it's time to move and your brain says, no, I'm too scared, I need to stay, that's the conflict, that's the nervousness, that's the anxiety. We need to trust what's the voice of our heart is saying. We need to trust it. We need to follow it. We need to listen to it, allow it to guide us. All of these things I'm saying here, okay? Where does the voice of love live? Right here. The voice of love, I call it your heart-centered mind. Again, some call it God, source, spirit. I don't care what you call it, intuition. I've heard it called your internal guidance system. I've heard it called GPS, your God positioning system. But it's right here. It's that feeling, that intuition, that nudge that says, you know what, I need to quit my job and leave. So that's what I did. That's how life takes off for you. That's how you reach your true potential, by the way. That's how you live life to the fullest. When you follow the voice and when you feed this voice with those true thoughts, again, when you're feeding your voice of love, you're saying, I am love, I am beautiful, I am enough. You're saying all of these things. Again, lesson 6 in this curriculum will help you navigate so that when you say those things, you mean it. You have to believe it. You have to mean it when you say these things to yourself. So yes, the voice of love lives in your heart. Okay. Some call this deeper than the subconscious. I call it the hyperconscious mind. Some call it, like I say here, the voice of the universe. Again, it doesn't matter what you call it. But every single person everywhere on this planet has that voice within, that small, still inner voice within. It's very, very deep. We are not used to, in the modern world, to listening. We are taught to do, go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. And what I'm saying is stop, hit the brakes, go within. What is that voice telling you? Most people are not used to this. This is scary. This can be scary because it may require you to be someone you've never been, to do something you've never done. You're used to doing things externally. What I'm saying now is to do something internally. What you're going to do is stop listening to your head and start listening to what's in your heart. A lot of people don't know this, don't understand that, but that's where the voice of love is. There's a great Wayne Dyer quote I just read the other day. I don't have it with me, but I wish I could remember it. It's something along the lines of, when you're living in fear in your mind, there cannot be love. But when you are living in love in your heart, there cannot be fear. Fear only lives in the mind. Fear does not exist in the heart. Love is in the heart. Love is very difficult to exist in the mind. I don't want to say impossible because that's a whole nother definition of love and what love is. But in your heart, fear cannot exist, because in your heart is your true voice, your true self. You are truly who you are. You are courage. You are strength. You are passion. You are enough. That's your true, authentic self. But in your mind is the opposite of all of that, and that's all the imposter syndrome. You've heard that buzzword a lot in the, I don't know, the personal growth world lately, about this idea of imposter syndrome. That's all in our heads. So we want to go through this voice of love that lives in our heart. Okay, I'm going to speed this up a little bit because I don't want to take you too much time. Again, you can read that. Yes, I talked about that. Here's the great conundrum. You have two voices. One voice is strong because we've been training that voice our entire life, the voice of fear, because we've been feeding it and listening to it. And as I said earlier, it's just like going to the gym. Every time you go to the gym, you get stronger. Every time you feed the voice of fear and listen to the voice of fear, it gets stronger. Okay? But here becomes the great paradox of life, is that you're responsible. You're the one responsible for listening to that voice of fear. You're the one responsible for feeding that voice of fear. Okay, it's time to change. It's time to make a different choice. Okay, yes, we've been conditioned to feed that voice of fear. I'm just looking down here at my notes right now. That voice of fear has become very strong. I like to use the metaphor, the Death Star. You know, we're used to operating life from our thinking mind. And what I'm saying now is, let's operate life from our heart-centered mind, from here. And we do that by becoming aware, becoming awake. What's going on in my head? What's going on in my heart? When you're making a decision, take a time out. Is that something you feel in your heart? Or is it something you're just thinking in your head? Big difference between the two. When you're thinking in your head, what you're going to feel in your heart is stress, anxiety, nervousness. I don't know about you, but that doesn't work for me. That did not work for me in my life. If that's working for you, more power to you. But again, I'm going to guess chances are that's not working for you. So yes, this voice of fear can be very strong, but you can break that grip. We can overcome the voice of fear. How do I know? I'm living proof I've done this. You want that life of joy, a life of love, life of peace. That all comes from your heart. Realize that's who you are. Today, I like what I wrote here. Today is the day. So if you're watching this now, chances are the vast majority of your life, and I don't know you or your story, but you've been guided by that voice of fear. You've been guided by that voice of the ego, the thinking mind. And what I'm saying right here today is to stop, to make a change, to choose differently, moving forward. Be guided by what's in your heart. Okay, so a changing of the guard, so to speak, a changing of who you choose to be right here. I'm going to read this. Today is the day you begin to consciously and actively choose love. Choose the voice of love over the voice of fear. You recognize now that you have these two voices. Which one are you choosing? The more often you choose to be guided by your heart-centered mind, the more often or excuse me, the more often you choose to be guided by this, the stronger that voice will become until that becomes your dominant voice. And the voice of fear becomes a very weak, very faint off in the distance. What I'm asking you now is to make a different choice, to choose differently. Today is the day you start to refuse to listen to or feed the voice of fear anymore. Ignore it. Refuse to listen to what's going on up here in the monkey mind, the thinking mind, that's ego. Remember, who you are not is your thinking mind. Who you are not is fear. You are not fear. Your true voice, your authentic voice is in your heart-centered mind, your voice of love. What I'm saying now is to decide and choose and consistently allow that voice of love to guide you in your life. So I'm going to go through these again a little more here. I'll take, again, anytime you need to pause this video, you can go ahead and pause this video. Today is the day you begin to fully embrace and accept yourself for who you really are. So what I'm saying is choose your voice of love. Choose to be the real you. That's why some of my posts I've been saying, just be you. And when you make a decision, is that decision driven by your head of fear, or is it being driven by your heart based on love? Stop being who you are not, the imposter syndrome, that voice of fear. Okay, I'm going to scroll up here. This is what made all the difference for me. When I finally realized that I was not the voice of fear, that my true voice was the voice of love, that's what allowed me in my racing career and my training career to continue to do the same thing. Again, what you do never changes. Sometimes people ask me, Brad, well, what can I do? And I say to them, you're asking me the wrong question. What you need to ask me is, who can I be? And what I'm saying is be your true authentic self, which is you get by feeding the voice of love and being guided by that voice of love. What you do never changes. The motivation behind what you do is what I'm saying. That is what changes. And when we are motivated by love, that's when we are motivated by passion or love. That's when our life truly takes off. That's when fear is no more. That's when anxiety is no more. That's when apprehension is no more. And if we find ourselves becoming apprehensive, if we find ourselves becoming anxious or worried again, we are back in the voice of fear. It happens. We go back and forth. That's why I said that voice of fear has a very strong grip over us. But we need to realize that, drop back down into our voice of love, because in our heart-centered mind, there is no fear. It doesn't exist. Some people might not agree with me there, and that's okay. Again, take time to review everything I'm saying here. Go through this time and time again. It took me, everything I'm telling you now, like I said, it took me a long time to be able to fully understand this. I could not have done this training a year ago, certainly not 2 or 3 years ago, because I didn't fully understand a lot of what I'm telling you. It takes time. Ask questions. I want to tell you here at the end a way that you can get in touch with me directly and ask me any question that you want on this. Again, it's about a choice. I'm saying choose differently. How do you want your life to be moving forward? Hit pause right now, answer that question. How do you want your life to be moving forward? Do you want it to be filled with love, joy, and passion, or fear, anxiety, any of that? Which one are you choosing? The way you get your life to be filled with love, joy, and passion is you allow yourself to be guided by what's in your heart. If your heart says, like mine did, quit your job and move, then your head says, yes, let's do that. If your heart says quit your job and move, and your head is saying, nope, I can't do it, I'm going to stay here because it's safety, it's security, it's comfort, your life is never going to be all that it can be. You're certainly welcome to do that. That's fine. But I'm just telling you, your life will never be all that it can be, because life from the voice of fear is very, very limited. It's being put in a tiny, tiny box when you can have the entire universe at your disposal. That's what I'm saying. So choose, and choose wisely. And I've touched on this a little bit already. It's doing the inner work. Again, I talk about this in lesson 6, to be able to break free from the grip of fear, to realize that you are worthy, you are enough, you are beautiful, no matter what. You're beautiful, perfect, just the way you are. Absolutely nothing about you needs to change. And believe it or not even your weight. Very quickly on a side note, most people lose weight for the wrong reason. They're motivated by fear. If you want to lose weight, you need to be motivated by love, by accepting and embracing who you are. When that happens, you won't gain the weight back. But as long as you continue to be motivated by fear that I'm not good enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not pretty if I don't lose the weight, I won't like myself unless I lose the weight, it's just a matter of time before that weight comes back. Love yourself no matter what from your heart-centered mind. Know who you are, and then you can lose the weight and it will stay off. And then you're losing the weight. You're doing the same thing, but for the very different reason. Again, what you do does not change. I want to really emphasize that. The doing never changes. There's nothing you need to do differently other than, instead of listening to the voice in your head, listen to the voice of your heart. That's the only thing that you need to do differently. Okay? Realize, yes, again, I've said it, the voice in your head is not who you are. That's the imposter syndrome. Who you are is that voice in your heart. Okay. So yeah, lessons 5 and 6 in the curriculum support what I'm talking about in lesson 11. I will kind of share with you here briefly how you can get access to those if you're interested. I want to emphasize this word consistently, okay? Fear, F-E-A-R, focused effort and resiliency. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. That's consistently choosing which voice that you're going to listen to, consistently allowing yourself to be guided by your heart voice, not your fear voice. That is key. It's consistency, it's determination to only be led in life by this voice. Have your head support what is going on in your heart. The doing never changes. I will emphasize that over and over. It's who you are being that changes. You're being in your heart-centered mind versus your fear mind. And you're showing up now from a place of love. We're so used to showing up in our lives and being guided by fear that we don't even know how to stop all this. And that's what the purpose of this training. This is how you go from fear to fearless. This is how you choose faith over fear. That keyword, choose, and be consistent. And again, listen to this lesson right here many times. I'm giving it to you for free. You have the link. If you want lessons 5 and 6, I'm going to talk about that. They would be very beneficial to support what I'm talking about right here. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here. Okay. I'm going to just kind of pause for a second and let you read this slide on your own. Yeah, this is key. You must consciously and proactively choose to listen to your heart, not your head. Allow yourself to be led, to be guided is another word in life from your heart, not your head. Hit pause, write that sentence down, read it over again. You must consciously and proactively choose to be guided in life by your heart. And what I say up top, be bold, be brave, be daring, commit to allowing this voice of your heart to guide you. This is how, again, we're not doing anything different other than making a different choice. The only thing we are doing different is making a different choice of what force we want to guide our lives, the force of fear or the force of love. Yeah, Star Wars, I'm a Star Wars nerd. Use the force of love or the force of fear. You got two choices. The force of fear is the dark side. I hate to say it, the force of love is the light side. That is the light. Be a light unto the darkness. That's where it comes from. And this is something, so I updated this training actually about 2 months ago, and I threw these next few slides in here. And when I started to understand this, what's the point of being anything but who you truly are? What's the point of living life from the voice in your head? There is no point. What's the point of being nervous? What's the point of being anxious? I don't know. If you have an answer to that, please tell me. Now, I'm talking about fear in terms of apprehension, anxiety about, stepping out of our comfort zone. I'm not talking about fear, if there's a burglar or potential, intruder or predator that may want to do us harm. That's a totally different conversation. That's a totally different fear. That is feel the fear and run, do it anyway. Let me bring that up real quick. There's that book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I teach everybody feel the fear and be the opposite. What is the opposite of fear? Strength. Be strength, boldness, bravery, courage. It's not feel the fear and do it anyway. It's not feel the fear and push through it. No, because you're still being motivated by fear. Feel the fear and be the opposite. Then you're motivated by love. That's what's sustainable. That's what lasts. And so the way to move from fear to fearless, I'll read this, and choose love over fear is to truly and fully embrace your true, authentic self. Realize, and again, it takes work, inner work, lessons 5, 6. I'm happy to help you with that. I'll show you how you can get access to that. But realize fear is who you are not. Love is who you are. Continue on because I do want to respect your time here. There are times in your life, and this is a perfect example. A toddler, 1 year old, has very limited exposure to the world and everything like that. But there are times when a toddler will refuse to cooperate, refuse to be picked up because they've set their mind on a certain thing. I'm not going to let you pick me up no matter what. And that's the same thing here. Refuse to allow your life to be guided by fear. Again, what I mentioned in the previous slide, what is the point in having your life be guided by fear? What is the purpose? I cannot think of any answer that makes sense for me on that one. Refuse to listen to the voice of fear. Refuse to feed the voice of fear. You've got to recognize and take that responsibility for you and your life. Whatever you're feeling on the inside, whatever is happening in your life, the truth is that you're responsible for that. We can blame others for whatever we're thinking or feeling, but truth is we're the ones that control what we think, what we feel, all of that. We're the ones who have ultimate power over that. Now, if we've given that power away and allow someone else's, thoughts and words to control us, again, that's our fault, our responsibility for giving that power away. I did that for upwards of 10 years at the health department. I gave my power away to all these people. My gosh, they would yell and scream at me. And they took my power away, my internal power of peace and love and joy. But it was because I allowed it to happen. I let them. Again, as we begin to draw this training to a close about moving from fear to fearless, make that choice here and now. Again, you can pause this video at any time to read all of this, soak all of this in like a sponge. The way you go from fear to fearless, it's a choice. I've said it. You can listen to what I've said. You have a choice who you choose to be. And why choose? This is what doesn't make sense to me. Even I did this for the longest time. I chose fear because I thought fear was who I was. I thought ego was who I was. That's why I did all those races. And gosh, I tell you, I got very fit, healthy, doing all the triathlons, the swimming, the running, the biking. I got very fit, but I was not healthy. My life was slowly on a death spiral, out of control, because I was motivating by fear. And that becomes very hard and very forced. And it just, I was breaking down and overtraining and all of that. But now I get to do all this from a pure place of love. And so it's easy for me to wake up, I call it effortless effort, and do, what I say, exercise 6, 7 days a week. I'll let you read this slide right here. I'm just going to kind of take a moment of silence, just let you read through this, because I think some of this now kind of speaks for itself. And then I will get to the worksheet. I want to emphasize this. Yeah, it does take daily work. Everything I've said, refusing to give into the voice of fear, refusing to listen to that. It takes daily work, daily effort, focused effort, and resilience to show up and listen to that authentic voice of your heart. It takes practice, daily effort, work, consistent. But what happens, again, the more daily you show up, the stronger the voice of love becomes, and the weaker the voice of fear becomes. We want to crush, smash, annihilate that voice of fear. The way we do it is to stop listening to it, stop feeding it, start feeding our voice of love, start feeding our voice of inner joy, inner peace, that true, authentic voice. Hit pause if you want. Go ahead and read this. It says right there, the work, daily courage, strength, all of this to be led by your one true voice. And read that last sentence slide again. Let's read it together. It takes daily work. It also takes daily courage, strength, perseverance, consistency, commitment, and determination to be your true self and to be led by your one true voice. There we go. So finally, at the end of the day, what are you choosing? That's my training for right here. Now what I want to do, all my trainings always have a worksheet or experiential component to it, because it's one thing to listen, but we need to put this into action a little bit. Again, if you need to hit pause, go back, you have the link, listen to this many, 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 many times. But I'm going to bring up this worksheet real quick. Now, if you're wherever you are at home watching this, here comes the worksheet right here. You won't have access to this worksheet. I don't know if you can take a screenshot or anything like that. You're welcome to contact me directly. I will mention here at the end how you can get direct access to this worksheet, but as part of just giving this training to you for free, you're welcome to send me a Facebook message, send me an email, bradwcarlson@yahoo.com. Just mention in the subject bar there a lesson 11 worksheet, and boom, I will send you this worksheet. It's a simple. I can send it to you PDF or Microsoft Word. I'll send them to you both in case you don't have Microsoft Word. But it's a very good worksheet that accompanies everything that I just had right here. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but fight the fight from fear to fearless. I'll leave it right there. You can kind of hit pause, zoom in, take a moment to read over everything. But this worksheet essentially accompanies everything I just talked about, and it goes over 4 key steps right here. So I'm going to scroll down here. Step 1, learn to recognize and become consciously aware of what voice you are choosing and what voice is guiding you. So how you're feeling, how you're showing up in the world, that will depend on what voice you're listening to, what voice you are feeding. Okay, step 2, go back and practice lesson 6 over and over again. I will say here, I know you don't have access to lesson 6, but lesson 6 is all about writing a new story, overcoming limiting beliefs, and realizing the truth. Once I realized the truth that I am enough, then I started training all these things from a place of love, not fear. I was no longer motivated by fear. I was motivated by love. It made a big difference in my life. Step number 3, it's practice, commit and practice. How do you get better at everything? You do it a million times. You do it over and over and over again. Nobody, sports is a common metaphor. Nobody got good at hitting a forehand in tennis just doing it one time, but after a million times, they got pretty good at it. And I always like the Bruce Lee quote, better to practice one technique 10,000 times than 10,000 techniques one time. Everything you need right here in this training and in this worksheet right here is all you need to move from fear to fearless. If you repeat this lesson over and over and over and over again, and again, lesson 6, and I'll talk about here in a moment how you can get access to lesson 6. Honestly, that's all you need. Everything I've learned and experienced, I've put in here. This is, to be honest, this is what all you need. You actually, if you fully understand this and do it over and over again, I truly believe you don't need to read another book to try to learn how to overcome fear. This has it all right here. You can go ahead and read another book if you want to, but not because you feel you have to, because in terms of dealing with fear, because it's all right here. Commit to showing up to your personal training sessions every day, doing the inner work. Again, you can kind of hit pause, read through some of this. Step 4, I'll get into that. What is the opposite of this feeling? So again, hit pause. You can read any of that. So here's the actual worksheet that you can fill out. You start with what is the feeling I'm having. So I'll just go through this with myself very quickly. So the feeling I'm having this morning, again, I do this stuff every day on myself. I show up at my Voice of Love gym, I will call it every day. If you only show up at your Voice of Love gym once a week, once a month, you're going to have a harder time, a more difficult time. Again, if you were training for an actual 5K race, you would train 4 or 5 days a week. You need to do the same thing with this training right here that's yours. You have the link. You need to show up 4 or 5 days a week. What is the feeling I am having? The feeling I was having was self-doubt. So on this worksheet, I would write the word self-doubt. Okay. Now, what is the thought behind this feeling? I had to do a little bit of journaling, and I wrote that down. I actually wrote that question down in my journal this morning. What is the thought that is leading to this feeling? And after journaling, answering that question, the thought that it was causing me to have self-doubt was that my life, my life, was not happening as it's supposed to. Now, this is the opposite. Okay, what is the opposite of this feeling? Okay, what is the opposite of self-doubt? Is confidence, is certainty. So I chose the word certainty. Then moving down here, what is the truth behind this thought? The truth is that life is happening for me, that my life is unfolding exactly as it should, when it should, how it should. I'm not in control of my life. There's a much higher, greater power than me that's in control of my life. Who am I to question? The problem that was going on was I was resisting how my life was happening, thinking that my life should be showing up differently. When the truth is, it's showing up exactly as it should be. Now, if I want my life to show up differently, that's a different training. It's included in part of all this, but that's when we begin to shift our thoughts. So I had to accept this is exactly what Michael Singer talks about in his book Untethered Soul, accept, surrender. I had to accept exactly that my life is showing up beautiful and perfect in every way and every moment, realizing, letting go, I'm not in control. So I went from self-doubt this morning to certainty. Okay, so what is the opposite of self-doubt? I wrote certainty. And then how can I be more certain? Know who you are. How can I be more certain? Trust and follow the voice in my heart. And I've had this smile on my face this entire day, which is one reason I wanted to do this training today too, because I'm like, I've got to bring this because I've been struggling with this, and maybe this training can help even one person out there. I've gone through this worksheet very, very quickly. I'll scroll up again, but that's a quick summary of it. Again, I am happy to send you this worksheet. You'll need to send me an email, bradwcarlson@yahoo.com, or DM me, just say Lesson 11 worksheet. I'm happy to send this to you. You can hit pause. I don't know if you can do a screenshot. You won't be able to download this, but there you can get a kind of a better look at it real quick. You can hit pause, maybe in your notebook or something, write that down. And by the way, I forgot to mention that if you haven't had a notebook or anything, make sure you always, anything I do, you always want to have a notebook, pen, paper to write with. But you can kind of write this down on your own. You can take a moment to read through that and all of that. And I'll let you just kind of read this at the end of the worksheet. Everything I presented here is everything you need to understand, that you need to know to go from fear to fearless, to choose love over fear, to choose faith over fear, to step into your true authentic voice and to be that authentic voice that you are. If you practice this training every week, 3, 4, 5 times a week, which you will, this will come natural. You will start to overcome all of that. And like I said here, it took me 2 to 3 years to fully understand a lot of what I have presented with you here today. It is a journey. What I'm trying to do is help you learn the easy way, because I had to understand this the hard way. I pull out a lot of my hair to understand all of this. And B, I want you to learn it quicker than I did. I don't want you to take 2 to 3 years. You could literally, with an epiphany, awakening, understand all of this in a heartbeat overnight. But it took me 2 to 3 years of slow, gradual awakening to understand everything from this. As I say here, it's not easy to move from fear to fearless, but it is very much possible. Now, you have the worksheet. Let me show you now. If you want access to lessons 5, lesson 6, if you want more access to any of this, it's all found here in my Rediscover You community. And this is my landing page right here. You can see my website right here. It's just rediscover-u.mn.co. And this is my new online community. What I've just presented to you, lesson 11, that is from my Rediscover You curriculum. That curriculum, all lessons 1 through 12, is available to you completely free inside my community platform here. You do have to be a member. My Rediscover You community, it's all right here. It's very simple to join. And I'm just going to tell you right now, The membership fee, I've kept it very, very low, very, very reasonable. It's the price of a cup of coffee, a simple Starbucks cup of coffee. And the price of a monthly membership fee, it's just $6.99 a month, or I even give you a discount a little bit if you buy the annual membership, just $74.99 right there. Let me tell you this $6.99 membership month for what you're going to get inside, you're going to get full access to my Rediscover You curriculum, which includes this worksheet I just showed. It includes lessons 5, lesson 6, all the trainings for the Rediscover You curriculum. It's all yours for $6.99 a month. There is nobody on this planet that is offering this low of price with the skills and knowledge and experience that I have, that I bring to the situation. I've done the studying, I've done the hair pulling to bring this all of you. That $6.99 is only going to be offered for the first 200 members. So if you're one of the first 200 members to sign up, you will be grandfathered in at that price for life for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Whatever trainings, teachings I get, they're going to be inside that community. They're going to be yours for $6.99 a month. That's crazy. Nobody is offering that price with this amount of knowledge and trainings and everything that you're going to get. It's an absolutely unbelievable price. But that's how you can get access to lesson 6. Everything is inside this community. What you're going to get in this community, you're going to get my Rediscover You program. I do other trainings, workshops. You want direct access to me, I go inside. Any question that you have on what you just saw in lesson 11, I'm going to be inside there. Ask me your question. We'll get on a Zoom. We'll go back and forth. That's how you can get direct access to me. And for $6.99 a month, it's crazy. That's an insane price. I will say also that price is only for the first 200. So if you're one of the first 200 to sign up, you'll be locked in at that price for life. My peers across the industry are charging between $30 and $50 a month. I'm going to be there too eventually. Once I build this, once you're locked in at that 200, it's going to go up after that, and it's going to steadily go up. So get it while the going lasts, because that price won't last long, $6.99. But you'll get direct access to me in these question and answer sessions. I have guest trainers coming in. I've already got several guest trainers that are lined up that are going to be offering their special training. I have one coming in here in another week or 2 or 3 weeks on stress management. Okay, I have another one coming in on effective communication with your partner if you have a relationship or want one. Being a good communicator is a part of that. She's going to do a training on that. So that's access to these special expert guest trainings. All of that is inside this community right here, my special online community. Special online events. I'm going to be doing very soon a 30-day Own Your Life challenge. It's going to be inside this community platform. It will be yours for $6.99 a month. That's the price of a cup of coffee, and you'll be locked in at that price for life, okay? And if you want one-to-one coaching, that's a little bit different, but I'm always available for one-on-one coaching. But I'm going to play this video for you real quick. Let's see if it plays here. Let's see what happens. Okay, I don't have the sound volume, but so I'm going to hit pause on this. You can go to my website, rediscover-u.mn.co. You can listen to that video. It will tell you more about it. This is the new online community. Again, you can find inspiration, explore your passions, rediscover your authentic self. I like to say, chase your dreams and learn how to live that healthy and inspired life. It's all inside of my Rediscover You. It's just $6.99. You can be locked in at that price for life. Again, you can always reach me directly, DM. I can get back to you with a short message. If it's too much for me, then again, I'm happy to answer it, but inside the community here. Thank you very much for being here with me today, and I would love to see you inside my Rediscover You community. Again, the first 200 members, and I should also say the first 200 members, you're also going to get a free coaching session with me. The coaching session is anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour and a half. It just really depends on what's going on. That's at minimum $150 value. That's 2 years of this right now that you're going to get for free, one coaching session with me. Again, it's Rediscover You, rediscover-u.mn.co. You're going to get access to my complete Rediscover You curriculum, lesson 11 that I just reviewed with you. You'll get access to lesson 5 and 6. It's all this is free with just a low monthly membership, $6.99. That's it. Thanks so much for being here. You can go back and watch that video. And I look forward to seeing you on the inside. Take care. We will see you next time.